you doing?
All right.
Hi, George. No, long time no see.
Yeah, I can go ahead and do a roll while we're waiting on Leah. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Kenneth Kemper, Dr. O'Hara is out. John Gunkel,
I'm here.
okay. Kathy Gondry,
Yep.
Bob Hartwell,
Here.
Sean Hawkins. He's there.
He was
Yes.
there just a minute ago.
Yeah, he's there. Cherie Ingram,
Here.
George Peterson,
Here.
and Joe Cassidy is also absent, but we do have quorum.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, start when you're ready.
Could we, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Second.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay,
So, go ahead.
Want to call for a motion for the other members to vote?
Oh yeah, sorry. All those in favor of the minutes being approved?
Of the what? I'm sorry?
could
Of
we
the
get
minutes to be
the
approved?
minutes to be approved?
Might be a little easier if everyone just raised their hand if they're in favor. That way everyone doesn't have to unmute their phones.
Yeah, that works.
Yes.
Okay, any opposed? Doesn't look like we have anybody opposed.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you guys. Because Leah's not here, and in order to we have Allison Williamson, who is joining us from utilities. We're going to go ahead and let her go first and talk about the placement of the AMI devices in the parks. Allison, do you want to go ahead and explain?
So let me do a quick introduction. So Allison Williamson works with the Utilities Department. Can I ask you all to just mute your lines if you're not speaking? Okay, thank you. I'm still hearing a little feedback. If you'll mute your lines if you're not speaking. And Felicia, you can manually mute their lines on your side as the host. It looks like we still have Mr. Kimber's line open. Okay. Okay, thank you. So the AMI item that's going to be presented to you today is part of our larger project in utilities where we may have to use some of our park sites to host. So I'll ask Allison if she would speak to that. She's been the project manager for us working on this project for the utilities. It was approved by the Utilities Commissions, I do believe in May, at their May committee meeting, Allison. And there's a need for us to consider some of our park locations to put some of the infrastructure for the project.
Yeah, I'm actually the June, but so there are 8 base station locations, and 3 of those would be located out. They're Lineback Park, Sedge Garden, and Whitaker, and what they're monopoles. Sorry, somebody said they needed an sidetrack there. Anyway, I had to run one, excuse me, one to install an on the monopoles a 2x2 foot square base station on the ground. I have maps that will, you would like to see those maps. So I'll go ahead and bring them up if I have the ability to. Alicia, do you have those maps?
Yeah, I sent them out to commission members with part of their agenda.
So what questions are you with the base stations? I will say that for the AMI project, that's how the AMI meters, which are going to be installed at all utilities department. But you may have questions. Can't hear anything. Okay then.
Sorry,
Just disconnected and logging back. That BMW's that?
Is that any better? Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you.
Sorry about that. I don't know what the issue is. I'm Bryce Stewart, so must be a city thing.
I think my issue is I'm driving, so when you're driving, it's gonna go in and out on you. I know for me it is.
Gotcha. Okay, so starting over, sorry about that. The AMI project, part of the proposal from Census, they ran a propagation study for base stations, and 3 of the locations chosen were Lineback Park, Sedge Garden Park, and Whitaker Park. And what they're proposing is to install 100-foot monopoles, which would have a 2x2 foot square base station box attached to the pole, and those would be about 6 to 7 feet from the ground. And then they would run some electricity to wherever that needs to go and have an electric meter installed on that, so they'd be paying for the electricity to run to the pole. The maps that were sent out showed the location of where they're proposing to install those, and if the commission approves, they'll go through the proper permitting process and all that with the city. But those 3 parks were the 3 that I'm hoping to propose to y'all. I know you've probably got some questions. Who's got questions? Cindy? Mr. Rayner. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
Can you
There you go.
explain a little bit better about what this AMI thing is? I don't know if I understand it.
Sure, yes. Okay, so AMI is, utilities is replacing all of the water meters in the Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. Everybody that's got a water meter in our jurisdiction or our territory, we're replacing those with smart meters, kind of like the ones that Duke Energy uses.
So like
But ours
Wi-Fi or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it uses radio waves.
Okay.
But yeah, kind of like Wi-Fi, but
Yeah.
and so that little endpoint box will go in the water meter, communicate back to the poles, the base stations on the poles, and that's what gets the information to our billing department so that we
Okay.
can
All right, that
provide
makes sense.
better data.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have questions?
So I might have missed it. So there are 3 parks that are being considered.
Yes.
Where we may have to put this infrastructure, being Whitaker Park, Sedge Garden, and Leinbach Park. There's some existing infrastructure that we have that used to be used for police communications that may also or could be used for the automatic meter reading project as well. But we want to go ahead and make sure that you all were aware of the park locations that were being considered, and had the opportunity to ask questions of Allison, as we'll may need to use those facilities as well. We'll know a little bit more as we get further into the project, but bringing it to the commission early on was important for us, as this was just taken to utility commissions about a month or so ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Tasha.
You're welcome.
So they'll rerun the propagation study as soon as they get their purchase order, and if the park commission is not on board with any of those locations, they'll just rerun the study and hopefully find some alternate locations, like the police, former police towers that the city still owns.
My question is, these meters save money, more money, or how is it? How's that determined? Is it going to cost more or cost less to put these meters in? Is it going to be more feasible to have these meters, or is it going to cost the city more to install or operate?
For the meters or for the base stations?
Yeah, I mean, is it going to save money in the long run, you know, with the water?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
what I'm
absolutely.
trying to
So
get
we're going to be able to provide more accurate billing to customers, and it'll also save money on truck rolls. So instead of, right now, the utilities meter services, they drive and get out and manually read every meter in the system, and we've got 130,000 water meters. So you can imagine the cost in trucks and gas and manpower that is being used right now. And right now every water meter is only read every 2 months. So you're getting 6 meter reads a year. And when we have the AMI system installed, there'll be 4 a day for each reading, 4 readings a day for each meter. And in case you have any concerns about the meter readers, nobody will be laid off. They will be repurposed to meter servicers, which are the men and women that actually service any broken meters or misreads. They'll go out and help out with that stuff. But
Yeah,
it will save money on, yeah. Mhm.
Are there any other questions from commission members? If not, I would ask Mr. Kimber if he would like to entertain a motion from the commission.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
I know that Allison said it wouldn't cost the city extra money. Would it cost the residents? Would it cause our water and sewer bill to go up?
Well, what I meant for not costing extra money, that was more for the electricity for those monopoles. I mean, utilities is paying money for this contract. As far as the residents go, no, there will not be any rate increases due to AMI, and there will not be there won't be any extra costs that actually relates to AMI being installed, but there'll be more accurate readings. So, I mean, if there's a meter that's not functioning properly and isn't billing somebody enough, that has the potential to increase their bill, but that should be a very minimal percentage of the customers.
So Ms. Ingram, the actual cost, the capital cost for the AMI project is budget through utilities. So it would not be passed on to our customers that are in both in the city of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. It's a budget expense that's been there for a number of years. So they wouldn't see an increase in their rates associated with this project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tasha.
Could I get a motion to approve the advanced meter infrastructure program?
I'll motion.
Second?
I second that.
Thank you.
I
All
second
those
that.
in favor? Okay, all those in favor?
If you just raise your hand, that way at least you
Yeah.
can get a count. Any opposed? Thank you. Looks like motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, correct. Okay.
If we could go back to our first item, this, I think Leah has been able to join the call. This is an item relative to a deed of property. This would be adding parkland to our system. Anytime we are adding parkland or either taking it away from our system, that has to be approved by the commission. And this is a property that it's being provided to us through a donation. I would ask Leah if she'll present this item, please.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Good.
Yes.
Good. I apologize for jumping in late. I tried to log in with my computer, my work phone, my personal phone, and kept getting kicked out. So happy to have finally made it and see everybody. So we would like for the Park Commission, the Recreation and Parks Commission, to consider the acceptance of a property gift deed. The property is coming to us from Ramey Properties, LLC, and Hubbard Realty. It is 3.35 acres in the southeast ward. The land right now is undeveloped. That would later on become part of a future greenway. The location of the property, if you guys will flip or look in your package, you'll see a map where the property is located at. Went out and looked at it yesterday. The best way to describe the location is it is east of Highway 52 near Main Street, near the Main Street exit. If you guys are familiar with the Piedmont Triad Industrial Center, it's located behind that in between a residential neighborhood of Meredith Woods. You can also access it by going down Old Lexington Road to Barnes Road. The closest park to this area is actually Weston Park, which is about 3 miles away. This is a small park that just has a shelter, playground, and basketball courts. No real walking trails, so this would definitely give the community members of Meredith Woods and that surrounding area access to Greenway. So, do you guys have any questions about the property?
If there are no questions, could I get a motion?
I have one question.
Okay.
Leah, this property, you said it was just woods. Is there any kind of hazardous waste or anything that we know about there that requires to clean it up?
No, sir. When I went out and looked at it, It just looks like woods overgrowth. It's right behind a neighborhood.
Okay. Has it been tested or anything?
Mr. Rayner, if we move forward with the acquisition of the property, then we would have, through our real estate division, then they would actually determine if there's any environmental issues. At this point, from their initial assessments, there hasn't been, but we haven't had a phase one complete on the property. Typically, that's done once we start development.
My question is it close to a greenway or a park? Which?
The closest park to it is a small park in the neighborhood called Weston Park. That park is about 3 miles away. It is a small park, has a picnic shelter, basketball courts, playground, no walking trails. And the closest greenway, looking at information, would be the ones that are over towards Walltown. So it's definitely an area that is void of a greenway access.
Do you have any plans? I guess you don't have any plans to do anything with this property, or what's the plans?
The plans is for it to be part of the future greenway.
The future.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Question?
Back to the earlier question about the environmental issues. The answer was that we would deal with the phase one results before development. What does that mean? Whose responsibility is it if there's a problem found?
If there's a problem that's found with the property, then it would be up to the city at that point to remediate any issues that we would have if we were disturbing the soils. From the initial assessment that was done through the real estate division, seeing as how this property was part of a residential development that was called Meredith Woods at the time, there's not believed to be any environmental issues at the time. That's why phase one wasn't completed prior to accepting this.
Okay, so if I could just come with one more question. If there had been an issue, would we have done a phase one, and if there was the responsibility of the city or of the current owner?
At that point, the city would have some responsibility in determining how to remediate any environmental issues that were found there. There are different ways that could be done. Sometimes we've done those through Brownsville's grants or things of that nature, or it might be a decision of where we would choose not to route the greenway through that option if it was a condition that we found would be too expensive for us to remediate at the time. But I will say we have not ran into those issues with other greenways or pieces of property that we've accepted. And we have not done the phase ones on the front end when we've accepted prior parcels of land.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Could I get a motion to approve the donation of property from Ramey Properties LLC and Hubbard Realty of Winston-Salem?
I'll move it.
Thank you, John.
Acceptance of the.
Get a second, please. Okay. All those in favor? If you just want to raise your hand.
Any opposed, same? Looks like our motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I wanted to, this is kind of as part of our department updates, to have an opportunity to share which programs we have been starting over the last few weeks. We have opened our pools and splash pads in a limited capacity, and also this week began our summer camp programs. I will say this has been an interesting time trying to balance some of the needs that we're hearing from the communities, but also trying to figure out how to do this in a manner that's safe. And we have some of our partner cities who have chosen not to open their camps, and we also have some others that are coming on board and are opening their facilities. Just as of yesterday, had some conversation with folks in Raleigh where they're going to begin opening their camp programs as well. So I would ask Leah if she would provide an update on how we're doing from the programming side of things, and then we'll have Renata just give us an update on any capital projects that are moving.
Very good. So it has definitely been an interesting summer so far. Recreation and Parks has decided to move forward with summer camp, virtual camps, and swimming pools this year. We started registration, or we had registration on June 27th, which is a Saturday, and we restricted the number of campers per location. So we have 8 locations, which are Polo, Haynes Hosiery, Sedge Garden, W.R. Anderson, W.C. Sims, Little Creek, and Minnie Lee Davis Harris, which is the former 14th Street Recreation Center. We went through we deferred to the CDC and North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services for guidelines on how we're going to implement programs this year. With that, part of the consideration was to reduce the amount of numbers of campers per location. So in the past, we typically take anywhere from 40 to 60 kids, but to ensure that we had the appropriate number of indoor group gatherings, maintain social distancing, and that comfort level for parents and our staff to make sure that we're focusing on people's health and safety, we reduced that number down to 24. So we had camp registration begin on June 27th, which is Saturday morning. 1 out of 8 locations filled up. We actually had to eliminate a campsite over at Old Town because they only had 2 people register. Numbers are starting to go up. A lot of our facilities are sitting at 10 kids registered. I've seen an increase at Polo and Sedge Garden this week. So I anticipate numbers to kind of go up a little bit as word of mouth goes on with parents. Some of the protocols that we put in place for campers as they come in the door, we're restricting access to all of our rec centers. So even though we have summer camps, the buildings are still actually shut to the communities. The general public is not able to enter the facility. When campers arrive, they are to come prepared with a form that they've checked out at home, saying that they're not exhibiting any of the symptoms. They will have their temperature checked upon greeting staff at the door. At that point, mom and dad aren't even allowed into the facility. That way we're making sure that we're not bringing germs into the building. When campers come in, they immediately go wash their hands, and then we divide them up into 3 different groups. So where we have 24 kids within the facility, we have them divided into 3 groups of 8 and 1 staff person that will join. That way we make sure that we maintain that social gathering of 10 or less in each one of our rooms. Yesterday was the first day. Staff a little bit, they're excited to be able to work. They're really happy to go back to do the core of what their jobs are. Did a lot of checking in with staff. Have some staff that, of course, they're a little bit hesitant. And as you can tell by our numbers, the community is very hesitant as well coming back in. But we are starting to get that, like I said, we're getting that increase of phone calls from the community. So I think people are starting to get comfortable and wanting to come out. Checked with a lot of staff yesterday. Very positive. People were very happy to be there. Kids were smiling, running, playing. Concerns were, of course, social distancing. How do you keep kids apart? You've got 5 to 12-year-olds who are active, are happy to see each other. They're happy to see staff, and they want to pass out hugs. That has been a challenge that I think has been the biggest frustration or I don't want to say frustration, but definitely one of the biggest challenges that staff are encountering is how do they maintain that social distancing with kids? And it's all based on the programming that we're doing. In the past, where we bring all the kids into the gym and let them play basketball or contact sports together, we've restricted that. We've really kind of focused on individual activities, doing a lot of outdoor programming, nature walks. Went and visited some kids yesterday that are happy to see them on our greenways walking. So they're definitely taking advantage of the outdoors. It's hot. They were laughing about how hot it was, but having the kids in our facilities moving around had a lot of smiling faces. Do you guys have any questions about summer camps before I move on to the next one?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Related to camps and also related to the pools. I was actually recently last week involved in a summer camp at Callidium as well. And there's more coming up this summer, and I'm kind of questioning whether I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One of which being that yesterday and today we had 2 possible positive cases in Raleigh at summer camps, both of which had screenings beforehand, which kind of I think leads to my concerns about the fact that even when you're screening, even when you're taking these precautions, you're doing all these things, because it's a virus that's transmitted through droplets, and we're seeing now possibly through airborne infections, it possibly being aerosolized. It kind of seems like all that stuff that we're talking about doing is just not really going to cut it if that's the case, especially indoors. It seems like outdoors still feels fairly safe, especially if you're being kind of careful. But indoors to me just seems really dangerous and kind of risky for essentially everybody. What I mean, if that starts to become more likely, is there a plan in place to just kind of quickly shut it down, or figure out what to do there, or be outside permanently, or how do we handle that situation?
We are adapting and changing every time we get more information. So one of the big directives that we had with staff was to really focus on outdoor programming. As you said, and as we've watched reports come through, outdoor open space seems to be the best area to have gatherings at. In the mornings when it's not blazing hot, there's a lot of encouragement for kids to be outdoors. A lot of locations that we had opportunity to visit yesterday, in the mornings, they were outside. As far as being indoors, we are, not only are we checking the temperature of our campers and the parents when they drop off their kids, but staff are also checking in as well. They're making sure that they're, if they're exhibiting any symptoms or not to come to work. We do have protocol in place so that if somebody does, test positive for COVID, we have kind of a process that we're going to do to notify parents and staff members as well.
And what's the mask requirement? I'm sure the adults have to wear masks. I know legally in North Carolina now, anybody over 12 has to. Are the kids having to wear masks, or how is that working out?
So we have sent a letter home. We've sent a letter home to parents, letting them know, what the executive order from Governor Roy Cooper was, and it states 2 to 10 years old. I'm sorry, 2 to 11-year-olds are not required to wear a mask. 11 and up. So our camps run ages 5 to 12. So anybody who's 11, 12 years old will have to wear a mask. We've sent letters home to parents indicating if they have children that are under that age, between 2 and 10, or 5 and 10, because we don't have 2-year-olds, between 5 and 10, that they will sign a waiver saying that they want their child to wear a mask. A lot of this, we're encouraging it. We're being very positive. We're educating the children if they don't have a mask on. If we have a child that refuses to wear one, we're doing a lot more social distancing. And our staff are required to wear masks within facilities.
Gotcha. Thanks. Not to drag it, and I'll kind of leave it at this, but I'm sure this is already a consideration liability-wise. I'm guessing there's probably waivers and stuff that have been signed.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm more concerned about the health stuff than the the monetary impact if there's lawsuits or something. But I was just also kind of curious how we're dealing with that, what the legalities are. I'm guessing the lawyers and everybody have already taken care of it, but
Yes.
more than anything else, I'm just concerned about the health aspect. Like I say, I don't know if I'm going to go to camps. I've been helping later in July. I'm kind of watching the numbers, and it seems like they're going up everywhere, and that just makes me nervous. I have the same issues with the pools, but I mean, the questions are the same, so the answers are probably the same too. All right.
It is. And we understand that we take the health and safety of the citizens in our campers very seriously.
Mr. Peterson, one thing to add to Leah's comments is, we are trying to figure out what that balance looks like. And, we've been very upfront with our participants and also the staff to let them know that, if we start to see a number of individuals that may test positive in the camps, and at that point, then we will have to make the decision as to whether or not we'll continue to operate those. And even as it's hard because we're getting, the comments in terms of, the children need some place to be, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that they're not coming into our care and then they're becoming sick or infected, and they're spreading COVID to other members of their family and out in the community. So it's a balance, and we're trying to make sure we monitor that as much as possible. We're having the same situation, even just monitoring our own staff and how that impacts our operations. So there may be a point that we get to where we're in the middle of a camp season, or we're in the middle of pool season, we have to make the decision to close both of those activities.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
My question concerning the COVID, what about the other organizations that are using city parks and city recreation areas? How are you dealing with those?
So we are doing some rentals of facilities, and when I say facilities, I'm thinking of our shelters. We had one that we rented for a wedding. Based on the governor's executive order, weddings are exempt. However, what we are requiring is that they have to abide by the city policies. They have to wear masks if they're going to use our facilities. And the other piece is, in terms of, gathering numbers, we had the city attorney involved in a conversation yesterday where, even though they may be exempt, we're still asking folks to keep those numbers at less than, I think the wedding was 15. and the governor's order says 20. So we're making sure that people understand that, and that's part of the agreements moving forward. But we're really trying to discourage people from renting facilities as much as possible, which is also why we haven't opened the recreation centers to the public for use.
Yeah, I know we have outdoor facilities like golf courses and the.
It hasn't impacted the golf courses.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm saying.
that's primarily been because of the governor's executive order. So they've been able to operate.
Yeah, what about the Salem Lake? Have
Salem
that's
Lake,
still operating?
it's still operating in terms of being open for people to, use the pier for fishing, and also we've opened it to allow people to launch their boats. But the marina itself and inside has not been opened. Renata, were there any updates that we needed to provide commission members on any of the capital projects? I know we talked about Hobby Park at the last meeting. We can't hear you. We don't have any audio for you, Renata.
She's not on mute, so I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see if we can get Renata's audio going, because we still can't hear her. I did want to let commission members know that you all have your second string today with me, kind of hosting the meeting with Leah. William is out on medical leave, and he'll be back with us a little bit later on this month. And we also I just want to let you know that he also lost his father-in-law. So if you would just keep his family in your thoughts and prayers during this time.
Tasha, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
You can?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to touch base on a few of the capital projects that we have. We do have several capital projects that will be going to council next month in regards to moving to the construction phase. Basically at this time, we will be moving forward with Bolton Playground. They will be moving forward to start construction, hopefully September-ish, October-ish. We will be moving forward also with W.R. Anderson Gym renovations. We will be moving forward with our soccer field lighting, which takes place, and we're providing lighting at all our soccer fields, which is Hines and Sarah Lee. Also mentioning Long Creek. Long Creek improvements will be moving forward also come the month of August. Bethania, the new Bethania Park will be moving forward, as well as Winston Lake. So right now, those are the items that we have listed that should be moving forward coming August into the construction phase within recreation and parks. Other facilities that we have, or other projects that we are waiting to hope to go in September due to the overload that we're seeing in purchasing right now. So we're looking at playgrounds. We're looking at Winston Lake playgrounds, as well as Brushy Fork and Skyland, Laughlin, and Reynolds. So we're looking for them to go the month after. We did receive word that those had got pushed back due to the heavy load that needed to be done for construction phase through purchasing. You have any questions?
This, I guess you're the right one to answer it. A couple weeks ago, I got a note from Vance Jones out at Hobby Park about, I guess when all the construction was going on, there were some trees that were put in the flight path out there. Has anybody gotten back with him yet?
Yes, sir. We had a meeting yesterday with the architect, and we met with Mr. Vance, who was a member of the radio club.
Yeah,
and
he's the
we
president of the
discussed
radio.
the trees, and we have identified the trees that he would like us to move. At the time, the architect told him that we could not actually remove them out of the park because we have to go back through inspection, but we did come up with an agreement of where we can relocate them for him.
Okay, all right. Have you guys got back? Did you tell him you couldn't do it before, or does he know that now?
Excuse me?
I think you said when you met with him, there was some issue where you weren't sure you could remove them. Have you guys got back with him again and let him know that they can be removed?
Yes, sir. We met with him yesterday.
All right, I
We
see.
met out at Hobby Park and walked it with him, and we made determination of which trees that he needed to have removed that was in the flight path. And what we're going to do in some of the areas is basically probably double up some trees in regards, but we need to move them out of his way. So yes, we have met with him and we have made a decision.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, if you don't mind. I don't know if I raised my hand or not, but I want to know about Carl Russell. Did you all start, did the city start renovating that facility? And when will that be completed?
So we had, prior to the project being bid out, the late Mayor Pro Tem Burke had asked for us to meet with, there were 5 individuals that she had identified and wanted us to go through the plans with those members and then help to prioritize items that were, that may fall out of the base bid for that project. You know, primarily at Carl Russell, it was the, you know, the painting, reconfiguring some of the rooms, new flooring, the fixtures and bathrooms and things of that nature. When Councilmember Parman came on board, we met with her and also shared the course of the path that Mayor Pro Tem Burke had asked us to pursue. She was comfortable with that, so we actually held that meeting at Carl Russell. I want to say it's been about 2 to 3 weeks ago once Councilmember Parman was sworn in. So we are preparing that project to be bid out. That one's probably about 3 months or so behind schedule, but in the fall, that one will be bid out as well. And what we did with the group was prioritize things that we would add into the base budget if there was funding left over. And these were things like, you know, the basketball court floors, being able to renovate the kitchen fully. We hope to be able to do as many of those things as possible, but wanted to make sure we had first addressed kind of some of the building systems issues that were the priorities that were in the base bid. That was the information that was put out in the bond package to the citizens when it was passed. And then we would bring some of those other things online if there was money left over for the project.
Yeah, it was probably appropriated 1.5 million. Is that what?
That's right.
Received.
Mm-hmm.
But has any work been done there?
No, that work has not started yet because we were asked to have that prioritization meeting first before we put out the bid. We had to do that before we were able to put the bids out. So we've now done that. So the next phase will be for us to prepare it for bid.
All right.
Question?
What contractors, any contractor can get on this?
Any contractor will be able to bid on it.
Okay. We're going to get people that, you know about, you know, items like flooring. I mean, we're not going to get subcontractors to do the work.
No, we would put it out to bid, and you usually have a general contractor that would bid their price, and they would be responsible for hiring their subs.
Okay. All right. Satisfied with that, I guess. I do need to ask about the golf course, because I don't know if anybody has anything else to bring up. Golf
we
course.
Have one other. We have
one
other.
I'll just wait. I'll just
okay.
wait. Please.
Okay.
You hear me?
I can.
Thank you. I've got just a couple of questions on these projects you just listed. Can you tell us what the nature of what's going to happen at Long Creek?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the nature of the work that's going to be undertaken at Long Creek?
Currently at this time, Long Creek will be undergoing the new pool house. If I'm not mistaken, we'll also be going in and putting in kind of like farmer market shelters. We will be doing conduits and lighting. There will be a restroom installation. Those are some of the items that will be going in at Long Creek.
Okay. one little sub question. That's great to hear that. In the driveway that goes into Long Creek, you can always hear every car that comes and goes because of the trench that goes across the road. And I talked with William about this some time ago. We need to get that repaired because it's turning into a hazard. There's a similar problem at Old Town, by the way, but maybe when they're in there doing everything else, if they could clean up the entrance area to the roadway, they'll see what it is. And people just bang their way through there in their cars all last summer. We know when they were going to the pool. The other question I have has to do with the drainage at Old Town. I've received, thank you, Felicia, the drawings for doing all the drainage work at Old Town. There's a schedule for, I guess, for going out to bid in the fall or late summer. I guess, I don't know, August, September. How soon after the bidding does the work actually commence?
It's usually a matter of 60 days. Once we have those bids back, it's usually 60 to 90 days before work actually begins.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Also, Tasha, Mr. Hartwell, Old Town drainage will also be bid with Washington Park. They're coupling those together through the engineering department.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Kimber?
Yes.
That concludes.
Is that the conclusion? Has everyone completed?
I have one more thing. I have one
Okay.
more thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, concerning the golf course at Lake.
Winston Lake?
Yeah, I've seen the improvements of trees being cut down. There are, some of the greens are still not actually healed. Still have some infections in them, but they're coming back. Some of them are coming back. They cut some trees down where, roots were getting into the greens and killing the greens. But there's a problem with. I know we got the ball picker up. We need it, but there's a problem with people donating balls for the driving range.
They donated balls?
They're donating balls to the driving range, but
okay,
the balls are getting cut up.
Okay.
They've been picked up. Somehow they're getting out on the course before the grass is cut. Somehow that's happening, and I believe they picked the balls probably on Wednesday and Thursday. They cut the grass on Thursday, and a lot of donated balls have been cut up. Is there any way that they can work this out and make a way where they, don't cut up so many balls? Because I believe, this is what I was told, that they don't have but twice a year they purchase balls for the course. And, I know balls are going to be cut up, things like that are going to happen, but sometimes they're not balls that are available for people to use on the driving range. But we have, people do donate.
Well, Mr. France, we can get what we
Yeah,
can get with the staff to figure out how to handle that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it would happen because they said they keep having this problem.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention who's complaining about it.
No, that's no problem. We'll figure that one out. That's not a hard one, but thank you for making sure we're aware.
To Mr. Francis' point, we have had discussions with Julius and the personnel that picks up the balls. He's trying to schedule it so that they can do a better job of picking up the balls at times when they won't be cut up so bad. For example, if you pick them up maybe 2 or 3 times a week on a certain day, if you let the staff know what date they're going to be picked up, or what day the grass is going to be cut, then they can eliminate a lot of those balls being cut just by the scheduling.
It's a coordination issue, it sounds like.
Yeah, we've had that discussion, and they're continuing to work on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kimber. Thank you, Mr. France. We'll look into that too.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions, comments, unfinished business? If not, could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second,
Thank you all.
I think John seconded it.
It did.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Meeting has
Good, everyone.
adjourned.
All right. Everyone take care and be safe. Thank you.